Well, hello everyone. It's truly a pleasure to be with you today. We're going to talk about something incredibly important, something that touches every single one of our lives, and that is how we deal with those moments when things don't go as planned. We're going to talk about failure, not as an end, but as a beginning. It's a part of the journey, an inevitable part of living a full and engaged life. You see, the person who tells you they've never failed, well, they probably haven't really lived. They haven't stretched, they haven't pushed their boundaries, they haven't truly tried to achieve anything remarkable. Because when you aim high, when you reach for something grand, there will always be moments where you miss the mark. That's just the nature of ambition, the nature of growth. The first step, and it's a profound one, is to genuinely accept that failure is a part of life. It's not an exception, it's a rule. Think about a child learning to walk. They stumble, they fall, they bump their head. Do they lie there and decide walking isn't for them? No, not at all. They get back up, sometimes with a little cry, sometimes with a determined look, and they try again. They don't label themselves as failures because they fell. They simply see it as part of the process of mastering a new skill. We as adults often lose that beautiful simplicity. We attach so much meaning to a stumble that we sometimes paralyze ourselves from trying again. But consider this. Every successful person you admire, every innovator, every leader, every artist, they have all encountered obstacles, faced rejections, and experienced setbacks that at the time might have felt like monumental failures. What set them apart wasn't the absence of failure, but their attitude towards it. They understood that it's a teacher, sometimes a harsh one, but a teacher nonetheless. It shows you what doesn't work. It illuminates the path you might need to adjust. Embracing this truth liberates you. It takes away the sting of shame and replaces it with the quiet understanding that this is simply how things unfold sometimes. It's not about avoiding failure, it's about accepting it as a vital component of the learning curve. If you want to achieve anything of significance, you must be willing to fall down, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. This acceptance is the bedrock upon which all future progress is built. Without it, every setback becomes a crushing blow instead of a simple signal to reevaluate and adapt. It's like gravity. You don't fight it, you learn to work with it. Failure is a force of nature in our personal and professional lives. And acknowledging its presence is the first step toward harnessing its power for your own benefit. The sooner you truly understand this, deep in your core, the sooner you'll find the resilience to tackle any challenge that comes your way. It's not about being perfect, it's about being persistent. It's about recognizing that growth almost always happens outside of your comfort zone, and that comfort zone rarely offers easy victories. Therefore, be ready for those moments when you step out, when you take a risk that things might not go according to your initial plan. That's not a sign of your inadequacy. It's a sign that you are pushing your boundaries, exploring new territory, and truly living. This perspective shift changes everything. It changes fear into anticipation, apprehension into determination. It allows you to approach endeavors with a spirit of adventure, knowing that whatever happens, you will learn and grow. Now, following that acceptance comes the crucial understanding. Don't let failure define who you are. This is a subtle but incredibly powerful distinction. A setback, a mistake, a lost opportunity. These are events. They are things that happened. They are not you. So often we allow a single event, especially a negative one, to color our entire self-perception. We internalize it, taking on the label of failure instead of simply acknowledging that I experienced a failure. The words we use, both internally and externally, have immense power. If you tell yourself, I am a failure, you are constructing a narrative that limits your potential. You are building walls around your case. But if you say, this particular attempt did not yield the results I desired, and I will learn from it, then you are observing an event, not defining your essence. Your worth, your potential, your spirit, these are immutable. They are not diminished by a missed goal or a project that didn't pan out. Your inherent value as a human being remains untouched. Think of it this way. If you drop a valuable vase, the vase might break, but your skill as a person isn't shattered. You simply dropped a vase, you pick up the pieces, perhaps learn to be more careful, and move on. Similarly, when a business venture doesn't succeed or a personal goal remains unmet, it's not a reflection of your entire being. No. It's a data point, a piece of information that helps you refine your approach for next time. To allow failure to define you is to give it undue power. It's like letting a single cloud obscure the entire sky. The sun is still there, the vast expanse of blue is still there, but your focus is solely on that one cloud. Shift your perspective, see the event for what it is, an isolated incident in the grand tapestry of your life. Your journey is long, filled with many experiences, many attempts, many lessons. One setback does not negate all your strengths, all your past successes, all your future possibilities. Hold on to your self-belief with tenacity. You are more than your last outcome. You are a collection of experiences, talents, dreams, and an incredible capacity for growth. Do not surrender your identity to the fleeting nature of a temporary defeat. This separation is vital for maintaining your psychological well-being and for ensuring that you have the internal fortitude to persevere. It allows you to analyze the situation objectively, without the heavy burden of self-condemnation. When you separate yourself from the outcome, you empower yourself to act, to adjust, and to try again with a clear mind and an undiminished spirit. This perspective guards your confidence and allows you to look at challenges not as personal attacks, but as puzzles to solve. Your identity is far too precious to be determined by external events. It is a fortress built from your inner strength and your unwavering commitment to your own potential. Once you've accepted that failure is part of life and understood that it doesn't define you, the very next critical step is to pause, reflect, and learn from your mistakes. This isn't about wallowing in self-pity or replaying every agonizing detail. No, this is a conscious, deliberate act of extracting wisdom from an experience that didn't go as planned. Imagine a scientist in a lab. When an experiment doesn't yield the expected results, they don't throw their hands up in despair and abandon the entire field. Instead, they meticulously review their procedures, examine their data, and analyze what went wrong. They ask questions. Was the hypothesis flawed? Was there an error in the execution? Were external factors at play that weren't accounted for? This same analytical approach is what we need to apply to our own lives. Create a space for quiet contemplation. This could be 5 minutes in the morning, a walk in nature, or simply sitting down with a pen and paper. Ask yourself what exactly happened. Be specific. Avoid vague generalizations. Pinpoint the actions you took, the decisions you made, the assumptions you held. Then delve deeper. Why did I make those choices? What information was I operating on? What was missing? This reflective process isn't about blame, it's about understanding causality. It's about connecting the dots between your actions and the outcomes. Sometimes the mistake might be obvious. Other times it might be a subtle oversight, a small deviation that had significant consequences. The key is to be honest with yourself without judgment. Just observe. What can you discern from this experience that you didn't know before? What new insight has been revealed? Perhaps you learned a valuable lesson about market timing, about a particular client, about your own capabilities, or about the need for clearer communication. These lessons are gold. They are the actual return on your investment of effort. Even if the initial monetary or tangible return wasn't what you hoped for. If you skip this crucial step of reflection, you risk repeating the same mistakes over and over again. It's like trying to navigate a complex maze without remembering which paths led to dead ends. Each failure then becomes a wasted opportunity for growth, a missed chance to become wiser and more effective. So don't rush past these moments. Embrace them as essential learning opportunities. Dedicate time to truly understand what transpired. This deliberate practice of reflection transforms setbacks into stepping stones, giving you a clearer map for your future endeavors. It's a habit that separates those who merely experience life from those who truly master it, continuously refining their approach based on the rich data of their lived experiences. The wisdom gained here is a far more valuable asset than any immediate success, for it builds a foundation of knowledge that will serve you throughout your entire journey. The next important distinction to make, one that really makes a difference in your mental approach, is to separate temporary defeat from permanent failure. This is absolutely vital for maintaining your motivation and your perspective. A temporary defeat is an event, a moment in time where your efforts didn't yield the desired outcome. It's like losing a single battle in a long war. The war is not over. You've simply had a setback. Permanent failure, on the other hand, implies that the game is entirely finished, that there is no possibility of recovery, no chance to try again, no room for adjustment. And here's the truth, very few things in life are genuinely permanent failures. Most of what we perceive as failure is, in reality, just a temporary defeat. The only time a defeat becomes truly permanent is when you decide to stop trying, when you throw in the towel, when you give up on the goal altogether. As long as you are still in the game, as long as you are still learning, adjusting, and moving forward, it's never a permanent failure. Consider the inventor Thomas Edison. He famously said he didn't fail 1,000 times to invent the light bulb. He simply found 1,000 ways that wouldn't work. Each failure was a temporary defeat, a piece of information that brought him closer to the ultimate solution. He understood the distinction. He never saw himself as a permanent failure. He saw himself as a persistent problem solver. This mental framework is incredibly empowering. It prevents you from becoming overwhelmed by a single setback. It allows you to see each obstacle not as a dead end, but as a detour, a challenge that requires a different approach, a new strategy. When you encounter a difficulty, ask yourself, is this truly the end? Or is this just a moment where I need to regroup, rethink, and try again from a different angle? More often than not, you'll realize it's the latter. It's a signal to pivot, not to abandon. It's an invitation to show resilience, not to surrender. This clarity helps you maintain your vision and your belief in your ultimate success. Even when the immediate circumstance, it protects you from the emotional trap of feeling utterly defeated, because you understand that this current state is not your final destination. You have the power to change the narrative. You have the power to define what permanent truly means for you. As long as your spirit remains unbroken and your willingness to act persists, every defeat is merely a stepping stone on a longer path. This perspective gives you strength, it gives you hope, and it gives you the courage to keep pressing on, knowing that the outcome is still very much within your control, provided you don't give up on yourself or your aspirations. It's a reminder that the story isn't over until you say it is, and you always have the pen in your hand to write the next chapter. Following that crucial distinction, it's absolutely vital to learn how to control your emotions after a setback. And this is where many people falter. When things don't go our way, it's natural to feel disappointment, frustration, anger, or even sadness. These emotions are human, and to some extent, acknowledging them is healthy. But allowing them to consume you, to dictate your next moves, or to paralyze you with self-doubt, that's where the danger lies. Imagine a ship in a storm. The waves are crashing, the wind is howling. If the captain panics, if they let fear take over, they might make irrational decisions that endanger the entire vessel. But a skilled captain, while aware of the storm's fury, remains calm and focused. They don't deny the storm, but they don't let it control their actions. They systematically navigate, adjust the sails, and steer the ship through the tempest. You are the captain of your own ship, and your emotions are the storm. After a setback, take a moment. Don't immediately react. Don't send that angry email. Don't make that impulsive decision. Don't engage in self-criticism. Give yourself a brief period to simply feel what you're feeling. Acknowledge it. I feel frustrated right now. I'm disappointed that this didn't work. This simple acknowledgement can often diffuse some of the intensity. Then consciously begin to shift your focus. Move away from the emotional whirlpool and towards a more analytical, problem-solving mindset. Ask yourself, what can I do now? Instead of, why did this happen to me? This transition from victim mentality to an action-oriented mindset is incredibly empowering. It's about regaining control over your internal state. You might try techniques like deep breathing, taking a walk, listening to uplifting music, or talking to a trusted friend who can offer perspective without fueling your negative emotions. The goal isn't to suppress your emotions entirely, but to manage them so they don't derail your progress. Emotions are powerful, but they should serve you, not control you. They can be signals telling you that something needs attention, but they shouldn't be the drivers of your most important decisions. Train yourself to observe your emotions without becoming engulfed by them. This discipline takes, but it's one of the most valuable skills you can develop for navigating the inevitable ups and downs of life. When you can control your emotional response to setbacks, you maintain your clarity of thought, your ability to strategize, and your overall resilience. You become less reactive and more intentional, a true master of your own destiny, capable of weathering any storm that comes your way. This emotional intelligence is a cornerstone of sustained success and inner peace. Once you have a handle on your emotions, the next logical and extremely productive step is to ask the right questions. What went wrong? This isn't about blaming anyone, especially not yourself. This is about precise analysis, about forensic investigation into the circumstances of the setback. Many people, when faced with a difficulty, ask unhelpful questions like, why me? Or why is this always happening? These questions lead to self-pity and reinforce a victim mentality, offering no path forward. Instead, shift your internal dialogue to productive inquiry. When something doesn't work out, sit down and genuinely investigate. Break down the situation into its components. Was it a lack of planning? Did you overestimate your resources or underestimate the challenges? Was the communication unclear? Did you receive all the necessary information, or did you act on assumptions that proved false? Perhaps the market shifted or external circumstances intervened that were beyond your control. Even in those cases, understanding how those external factors impacted your efforts is crucial. For example, if a new competitor entered the market and disrupted your sales, the question isn't, why did they do that? But how can I adapt my strategy to compete effectively in this new landscape? Or what can I learn about market shifts from this experience? The focus is always on understanding the mechanics of the event, not on assigning blame. It's like a mechanic diagnosing a car problem. They don't blame the car for breaking down. They systematically test different parts to find the root cause and then figure out how to fix it. This objective approach is incredibly powerful because it shifts you from an emotional reaction to an intellectual solution finding mode. It empowers you to identify specific areas for improvement, specific skills to acquire, or specific adjustments to make in your future actions. The quality of your life is often determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Asking what went wrong with a genuine desire to learn opens up a pathway to wisdom. It transforms a painful experience into a valuable lesson. It builds your internal library of knowledge, making you smarter, more capable, and better equipped to handle similar challenges in the future. This habit of self-inquiry, done with a spirit of curiosity rather than condemnation, is a hallmark of truly successful individuals who continuously evolve and improve. It's a deliberate investment in your own personal and professional development, ensuring that every experience, positive or negative, contributes to your growth. Now, even after you've taken the time to reflect and ask those crucial questions, it's imperative to keep your self-belief strong despite loss. Now, this is easier said than done, especially when you're facing repeated setbacks or a particularly devastating failure. But understand this, your belief in yourself is your most valuable asset. It's the engine that drives your persistence, the fuel for your courage, and the foundation of your resilience. When you lose a game, you might feel a sting, but you don't suddenly forget how to play. You don't lose your physical abilities or your understanding of the rules. Now, similarly, when you experience a professional or personal loss, the inherent skills, talents, and wisdom you possess do not vanish. They're still there, intact. What can get shaken is your belief in those abilities, your confidence in your capacity to use them effectively. This is why you must actively protect and nurture your self-belief. Remind yourself of past successes, even small ones. Think about challenges you've overcome before. Recall moments where you demonstrated strength, ingenuity, or perseverance. These memories serve as anchors, reminding you of your true capabilities. It's also important to separate the outcome from your worth. A lost deal doesn't mean you're a bad salesperson. A failed project doesn't mean you're incapable. It simply means that this specific attempt didn't work out. Your inherent value as a person remains constant. Engage in activities that rebuild your confidence. This could be revisiting a skill you excel at, helping someone else, or focusing on small achievable wins that provide a sense of accomplishment. Surround yourself with people who genuinely believe in you and who can offer encouragement without sugarcoating the reality of the situation. Their perspective can sometimes act as a mirror, reflecting your strengths back to you when you might be struggling to see them. Most importantly, speak kindly to yourself. The internal dialogue after a loss can be brutal. Replace self-criticism with self-compassion. Treat yourself as you would a dear friend who is going through a tough time, with understanding, encouragement, and belief in their ability to rise again. Your self-belief isn't a fixed trait. It's a muscle that needs to be exercised and protected. When it's strong, you're capable of weathering any storm. When it falters, even small challenges can seem insurmountable. So after a loss, don't let the temporary sting erode this fundamental pillar of your strength. Guard it, nourish it, and constantly reinforce it, for it is the key to your sustained progress and ultimate triumph. After experiencing the pain of a setback, there's a powerful transformation that can occur if you allow it, turning that pain into motivation to try again. This is a critical pivot point. Many people, when faced with pain, retreat. They pull back, become risk-averse, and avoid situations that might cause similar discomfort. But the truly successful individuals, the ones who make a mark, they harness that discomfort. They don't let it paralyze them. They let it propel them. Think of a runner who loses a race by a fraction of a second. That defeat, that intense pain of being so close yet missing the win, can become an incredible source of motivation. It drives them to train harder, to analyze their technique more thoroughly, to push past their perceived limits. They don't just feel the pain, they channel it. They tell themselves, I never want to feel that way again, or I'm going to work so hard that this outcome will never be repeated. This isn't about dwelling on the negative emotion. It's about using the energy that accompanies that emotion in a constructive way. The pain of loss can clarify your desires. It can strip away complacency. It can reveal how much you truly want something. When you've experienced a setback, there's a unique kind of fire that can ignite within you. A determination born not just of desire, but of the knowledge of what it feels like to fall short. This fire can be a more potent motivator than pure enthusiasm alone, because it's tempered by experience. It's a resolve forged in the crucible of difficulty. To tap into this, allow yourself to acknowledge the discomfort, but then immediately ask, how can I use this feeling to fuel my next action? What lesson did this pain teach me that I absolutely will not forget? Let the memory of the difficulty serve as a constant reminder of what you are striving for and why it matters so deeply. This doesn't mean you should seek out pain, but it means when it inevitably arrives, you don't let it go to waste. You extract its power. You convert that raw, uncomfortable energy into focused effort, into renewed commitment, into an yielding drive to achieve your goals. This transformation of pain into purpose is a hallmark of true grit and resilience, allowing you to emerge from every setback not weaker, but stronger, more determined, and more committed to your ultimate success. Once you've started to turn that pain into motivation, another essential ingredient for success, often overlooked in our fast-paced world, is to develop patience. Success, true lasting success, rarely happens overnight. It's not a sudden explosion. It's more like the slow, steady growth of a mighty oak tree. It takes time. It takes consistent effort, even when you don't see immediate results. Many people become discouraged after a setback because they expect a quick recovery, an instant turnaround. They want to plant a seed today and harvest a fully grown tree tomorrow. But life and achievement simply doesn't work that way. There are seasons of planting, seasons of nurturing, and only then, in due course, seasons of harvest. If you're building a business, you don't launch one product and expect to become a millionaire next week. If you're developing a new skill, you don't practice for a few days and expect to be a master. There will be periods where progress seems slow, where your efforts don't appear to be yielding significant returns. These are the times when patience is most tested and most crucial. It's in these moments when others might give up that your ability to stay the course truly defines your character and your potential. Developing patience means understanding the rhythm of life. It means accepting that some things require gestation, growth, and gradual development. It means being willing to put in the work, day after day, week after week, month after month, even year after year, without demanding instant gratification. It means trusting the process, believing that consistent, intelligent effort will eventually lead to the desired outcome. This doesn't mean being passive. Patience isn't about waiting idly. It's about persistent action combined with a long-term perspective. It's about planting the seeds, watering them daily, and knowing that the roots are growing strong, even if you can't see them yet. When you embrace patience, you free yourself from the tyranny of immediate results. You become less susceptible to discouragement from temporary setbacks. Because you understand, they are simply small undulations in a much longer journey. You gain a calm confidence that allows you to weather the storms and celebrate the small, incremental progress that eventually adds up to something magnificent. Patience is not just a virtue, it's a strategic advantage in a world that often prioritizes instant gratification. It's the quiet strength that allows you to outlast the competition and build something truly enduring. As you cultivate that, the next logical step in overcoming failure is to build new strategies from past lessons. This is where the reflection and questioning you did earlier really pay off. It's not enough to simply understand what went wrong. You must actively use that understanding to change your approach. Imagine an architect whose initial design for a building proves unstable. They don't just acknowledge the flaw, they go back to the drawing board. They analyze the structural weaknesses, learn from the calculations that failed, and then create a revised, stronger blueprint. You must adopt a similar mindset for your own endeavors. Your past failures are not just painful memories. They are case studies, rich sources of data for improving your future actions. So, take those insights you gained from asking what went wrong and transform them into concrete, actionable changes. If you discovered that your marketing message wasn't clear, then your new strategy must include a plan for clearer, more targeted. If you learned that you underestimated the time required for a project, your new strategy needs to incorporate more realistic timelines and perhaps a contingency buffer. If a particular skill gap was exposed, your new strategy must involve a plan for acquiring or improving that skill. This process is iterative. It's a continuous cycle of action, reflection, learning, and adjustment. You don't just try harder, you try smarter. You don't repeat the same actions with the expectation of different results. You consciously modify your behavior based on newfound knowledge. This requires intellectual honesty and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. It might mean admitting that your initial assumptions were incorrect, or that your favorite approach isn't always the most effective. But this adaptability is a hallmark of true growth. The world around us is constantly changing, and our strategies must evolve with it. By actively building new approaches based on your lived experiences, you ensure that every setback becomes an investment in a more effective, more resilient future self. You move from simply reacting to circumstances to proactively shaping them, continuously improving your chances of success with each iteration. This is the power of learning from experience, not just observing it, but actively integrating it into your future plan of action. Now, as you are building these new strategies, an often underestimated but incredibly powerful factor comes into play. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. The company you keep has a profound impact on your mindset, your energy, and your ability to bounce back from adversity. Imagine trying to climb a mountain with people who constantly tell you it's too steep, that you're not strong enough, or that you're destined to fail. Their negativity would be a heavy weight, draining your spirit and making the climb feel insurmountable. Conversely, imagine climbing with companions who offer encouragement, share their energy, and remind you of your strength when you feel weary. Their presence would uplift you, making the journey feel more achievable. After a setback, when you might be feeling vulnerable or discouraged, it's more crucial than ever to choose your inner circle wisely. Seek out individuals who possess a positive outlook, who believe in your potential, and who can offer constructive support rather than debilitating criticism. These are the people who will listen empathetically when you need to vent, offer a fresh perspective when you're stuck, and remind you of your capabilities when you're doubting yourself. They won't necessarily tell you what you want to hear, but they will tell you what you need to hear. Encouraging words, yes, but also honest feedback delivered with care. Avoid those who delight in your failures, who drain your energy with their pessimism, or who constantly reinforce your doubts. Their presence will only amplify your struggles and make it harder to regain your footing. Your environment, especially your social environment, is a powerful force. It can either elevate you or drag you down. Therefore, consciously curate your social circle. Invest time in relationships with people who inspire you, who challenge you to be better, and who celebrate your efforts, even when the results aren't perfect. Their belief in you can often act as a beacon, guiding you through the fog of disappointment and reminding you of your intrinsic worth and potential. This support system is not a crutch, it's a launch pad. It provides the emotional and psychological resilience needed to overcome obstacles and propel you forward on your journey towards success. Moving forward, a truly vital component in overcoming setbacks is to take responsibility without self-blame. This distinction is subtle, yet profoundly important for your growth and emotional well-being. Taking responsibility means acknowledging your role in the outcome. It means saying, I contributed to this result and I own my part in it. This is an empowering stance because it implies that if you contributed to the problem, you also have the power to contribute to the solution. It puts the locus of control back within your grasp. It allows you to analyze your actions objectively and identify areas for improvement. For example, if a project failed, taking responsibility might mean acknowledging that you didn't delegate effectively, or that you missed a crucial deadline, or that you didn't communicate clearly enough. These are actionable insights. Self-blame, on the other hand, is a destructive internal monologue. It's saying, I am a failure, or I'm not good enough, or it's all my fault because I'm inherently flawed. Self-blame is an attack on your character and your worth as a person. It paralyzes you. It offers no pathway for improvement because it focuses on an immutable, negative self-definition rather than on specific changeable behaviors. When you engage in self-blame, you erode your self-esteem, making it harder to try again. You become stuck in a cycle of negativity, unable to extract the valuable lessons from the experience. The difference lies in the focus. Responsibility looks at the actions and seeks to understand their impact. Self-blame looks at the person and seeks to condemn them. One is constructive, the other is destructive. After a setback, practice separating yourself from the event. Acknowledge your contributions, big or small, without allowing those contributions to define your entire identity. If you made a mistake, own it, learn from it, and then commit to doing better next time. This is the mature and effective way to deal with shortcomings. It's about being accountable for your behavior without succumbing to debilitating self-criticism. This balance allows you to learn profoundly from your experiences, maintaining your self-respect and the emotional fortitude needed to move forward with renewed determination and a clearer understanding of how to achieve better results in the future. Even in the toughest times, when things haven't gone your way, it becomes incredibly powerful to practice gratitude. This might sound counterintuitive. When you're facing a setback, your mind naturally tends to focus on what went wrong, what you lost, or what's missing. But intentionally shifting your focus to what you do have, to what is still good in your life, can profoundly impact your resilience and your ability to bounce back. Gratitude isn't about ignoring the difficulty. It's about acknowledging that even amidst challenges, there are still blessings, opportunities, and positive aspects to your existence. Think about it. Even if a business venture failed, perhaps you gained invaluable experience, made new connections, or learned a profound lesson that will serve you well in your next endeavor. Maybe you still have your health, supportive family and friends, a roof over your head, or simply the gift of another day. These are not small things. Often, in the pursuit of larger goals, we can take these fundamental aspects of our lives for granted. When you consciously practice gratitude, you change your internal chemistry. You shift from a state of scarcity and lack to a state of abundance and appreciation. This shift in perspective doesn't magically erase the problems, but it equips you with a more positive emotional foundation from which to tackle them. Emotional reserves. It helps you see the bigger picture and reminds you that your life is more than just this one setback. You might start by simply listing 3 things you are grateful for each day, no matter how small. It could be the warmth of your coffee, a kind word from a stranger, the beauty of a sunset, or the fact that you have the capacity to learn and grow. This consistent practice trains your mind to look for the good, to appreciate what's working, and to acknowledge the resources you still possess. It prevents you from spiraling into despair and instead helps you maintain a sense of hope and optimism even when gratitude is a powerful antidote to discouragement, a way to replenish your spirit and ensure that you approach the task of rebuilding and moving forward from a position of strength and appreciation, rather than one of bitterness or it reminds you of the richness of life that persists beyond any single disappointment. As you navigate the emotional landscape after a setback and ground yourself in gratitude, the practical path forward often involves one simple yet incredibly powerful action. Keep moving forward with small steps. When faced with a large, overwhelming failure, it's easy to feel paralyzed. The sheer magnitude of what needs to be done to recover, to rebuild, or to start anew can feel insurmountable. This is where the wisdom of taking small, manageable steps becomes invaluable. You don't have to leap across the chasm. You just need to take the next single step. Imagine standing at the bottom of a tall staircase after a fall. Looking all the way to the top can be daunting, but focusing on just lifting one foot to the first step and then the next makes the task feel achievable. Each small step, no matter how insignificant it seems, builds momentum. It creates a sense of accomplishment, which is vital for rebuilding confidence and dispelling the feeling of helplessness. A small step might be making one phone call you've been dreading, sending one email, researching one new idea, or simply spending 15 minutes organizing your workspace. It's about breaking down the overwhelming goal of overcoming failure into bite-sized, actionable tasks. This approach bypasses the brain's tendency to shut down when faced with too much complexity. It says you don't have to solve everything today, just focus on this one tiny thing. And then once that tiny thing is done, you tackle the next tiny thing. Over time, these small, consistent actions accumulate. They build a new foundation. They create tangible progress that you can see and feel. The key is consistency, not intensity. A small step taken every day is far more effective than a giant leap taken once and then abandoned. It cultivates discipline and reinforces the belief that you are capable of action and change. Don't wait until you feel fully motivated or perfectly confident to take action. Often, motivation follows action. Just take that first small, deliberate step. It's a powerful declaration to yourself and to the world that you are still in the game, that you are actively engaged in rebuilding, and that you are committed to your future success, one manageable piece at a time. This steady, persistent movement is what ultimately transforms aspiration into reality. With your small steps now guiding your daily actions, it becomes paramount to train your mind to see opportunity in setbacks. This is not a natural inclination. Our minds are often wired to see only the negative, the loss, the problem, but truly successful individuals develop the mental discipline to actively look for the hidden advantages, the unexpected doors that open when another one closes. Think of a farmer whose crop is destroyed by a storm. A natural reaction is despair. But a farmer with this mindset might ask, what new, more resilient crop can I plant now? Or how can I improve my irrigation system to prevent future damage? Or does this open up time for me to pursue a different, perhaps more lucrative agricultural endeavor? The setback, while painful, forces a reevaluation, a fresh perspective that might have been impossible if things had continued as usual. Importance can take many forms. A failed business might reveal a critical market need that you can now address with a revised product or service. A job loss might force you to explore a career path you truly love, one you wouldn't have considered if you were comfortable in your old position. A personal disappointment might lead you to develop greater empathy, resilience, or a deeper understanding of yourself. The key is to consciously ask the question, what is the opportunity here? What can I learn or gain from this situation that I wouldn't have otherwise? This requires a shift from a reactive mindset to a proactive one. It's about becoming an active interpreter of your experiences rather than just a passive recipient of circumstances. Mental training takes practice. At first, it might feel forced, but over time, it becomes a natural way of looking at the world. It transforms obstacles from immovable barriers into challenging puzzles, each containing a hidden reward. By consistently seeking out the silver, by actively looking for the lessons and the potential for growth within every difficulty, you ensure that no experience is ever truly wasted. Every setback becomes a catalyst for innovation, a springboard for new directions. And a powerful testament to your ability to not just survive, but to thrive in the face of adversity. This perspective builds an unshakable optimism, not based on naivety, but on the profound understanding that growth often emerges from struggle. Now, as your mind becomes more adept at finding opportunities, you'll discover that discipline, not just motivation, is the true force that helps you rise again. Motivation is wonderful. It's that initial spark, the burst of enthusiasm that gets you started. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the tide. You can't rely on it alone, especially when you're tired, discouraged, or facing a tough climb. This is where discipline steps. Discipline is the steady, unwavering commitment to your goals, regardless of how you feel on any given day. It's the act of showing up, doing the work, and sticking to your plan, even when motivation is absent. Imagine a successful athlete. They don't just train when they feel motivated. They train every single day, rain or shine, because they are disciplined. They understand the consistent effort, even on the days they don't feel like it, is what builds strength, skill, and ultimately victory. Well, welcome back, everyone. We're deep into this discussion about how to truly conquer those moments of failure, not just survive them, but turn them into powerful stepping stones. We've talked about the fleeting nature of motivation and the enduring power of discipline. Let's expand on that, because this is where real, lasting change takes root. When you're trying to rise again after a setback, discipline is your most reliable ally. It's the habit of taking action even when your emotions are telling you to retreat, even when your inner voice is whispering doubts. Think of it like this. Motivation is like a strong gust of wind that pushes your sailboat forward with great speed for a while. It's exciting, exhilarating, but winds change. They die down. And if you only rely on that wind, you'll eventually drift. Discipline, however, is the steady, rhythmic rowing that you do, day in and day out, regardless of the wind. It's the consistent effort that keeps you moving towards your destination, even through calm waters or against a gentle current. After a significant loss or disappointment, your motivation might be at an all-time low. You might feel drained, disheartened, and utterly uninspired. This is precisely when discipline becomes absolutely critical. It's the commitment to stick to your routines, to follow through on your small steps, even when every fiber of your being wants to stop. It's getting up at the same time, doing your planning, making those calls, working on that project, not because you feel like it, but because you committed to it. This consistent action, even without the emotional high of motivation, creates momentum. It builds resilience. It reinforces the idea to yourself that you are capable and committed, regardless of external circumstances or internal feelings. Discipline is about establishing habits that serve your long-term goals. It's about deciding what needs to be done and then doing it repeatedly until it becomes second nature. This consistency is what allows you to slowly, steadily rebuild what was lost and construct something even stronger. It's the quiet power of showing up for yourself every single day. Motivation might get you started, but discipline is what keeps you going through the long haul, through the plateaus, and through the moments when the path ahead seems unclear. It's the difference between a fleeting attempt and a lasting transformation. When you cultivate discipline, you are cultivating an inner strength that is not dependent on external factors or fickle emotions. You are building an unshakable foundation for sustained progress, ensuring that you can always pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and continue the journey, no matter what challenges come your way. This is the bedrock of enduring success, the quiet force that propels you forward, even when all else seems to be failing. Now, with discipline as your guiding force, you can begin to effectively rebuild confidence through small wins. This is a powerful, almost therapeutic process, especially after a significant setback. When you experience a large failure, your confidence can take a severe hit. You might start doubting your abilities, your judgment, and your capacity to achieve anything meaningful. The idea of tackling another big goal, can feel overwhelming, even terrifying. This is precisely why focusing on small, achievable wins is so crucial. A small win isn't about achieving a monumental goal. It's about successfully completing a task that is within your immediate reach, something that requires effort but isn't so difficult that it feels impossible. It could be making that one difficult phone call you've been procrastinating on, organizing your workspace, completing a specific component of a larger project, or even sticking to a new healthy habit for a week. The key is to consciously identify these small victories, and then to genuinely acknowledge and celebrate them. Each small win, no matter how minor, provides tangible proof that you are still capable, that you can still set a goal and achieve it. It creates a positive feedback loop. When you complete a small task, your brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. This reinforces the behavior and motivates you to seek out the next small win. It's like building a wall, brick by brick. You don't focus on the entire wall. You focus on laying one brick perfectly. Then the next, each brick is a small win, contributing to the larger structure. This strategy is incredibly effective because it breaks down the overwhelming feeling of failure into manageable chunks. Instead of trying to instantly regain all your lost confidence, you build it back incrementally, one successful action at a time. These small victories accumulate, slowly but surely patching up the cracks in your self-belief and rebuilding a strong foundation. They remind you of your competence, your resourcefulness, and your ability to execute. Furthermore, these small wins often lead to insights and learning that can be applied to larger challenges. You might discover a new, more efficient way of doing something, or reaffirm a skill you thought you had lost. This iterative process of taking action, achieving a small win, learning from it, and then taking another action is how you gradually restore your sense of efficacy and prepare yourself for bigger endeavors. Don't underestimate the power of these seemingly minor achievements. They are the scaffolding upon which grander successes are built, providing the necessary psychological and practical momentum to propel you forward. This deliberate cultivation of small victories is essential for anyone looking to rise stronger after a fall. As you accumulate those confidence-boosting small wins, an essential anchor you must maintain, especially during the rebuilding phase, is to stay consistent with your long-term vision. It's easy, after a setback, for your initial grand vision to become clouded by doubt, fear, or the immediate pain of the loss. You might be tempted to scale back your dreams dramatically, to settle for something less, or even to abandon your original aspiration entirely. But understand this, your long-term vision is your North Star. It's the ultimate destination you're aiming for, the reason you started this journey in the first place. Consistency with your vision doesn't mean rigidly sticking to the exact same path that led to a setback. As we've discussed, you'll need to adapt and build new strategies. But it does mean keeping the ultimate goal firmly in sight. It means reminding yourself of what you truly want to achieve in the grand scheme of things. Even if the immediate is a little bleak, if your vision was to create a particular kind of business that serves a specific need, and your first attempt failed, the vision itself isn't necessarily flawed. Perhaps the execution, the timing, or the resources were the problem. The vision remains. This consistency paralysis. When you're lost in the weeds of daily struggles or feeling discouraged by a current challenge, of that distant, shining vision can reignite your spirit and remind you why you're putting in all this effort. It helps you distinguish between a temporary detour and a fundamental change of direction. If your long-term vision is still compelling, then the setbacks become less about giving up and more about finding a different, more effective route to reach that desired future. To stay consistent with your vision, regularly revisit it, write it down, visualize it, talk about it with those who uplift you. This helps to ingrain it in your mind and reinforce its importance. It also acts as a filter for your daily decisions. When faced with a choice, you can ask yourself, does this action move me closer to my long-term vision, or does it pull me away? This clarity prevents you from getting sidetracked by distractions or settling for less than you truly desire. Remember, a temporary defeat can obscure the path, but it doesn't erase the destination. Your capacity to hold on to that unwavering vision, even when the journey becomes difficult, is a testament to your mental fortitude and your deep commitment to your own future. This long-term perspective is what separates those who achieve extraordinary things from those who allow short-term disappointments to permanently derail their dreams. Keep that vision alive, nurture it, and let it be the constant guide that helps you navigate through every storm and towards your ultimate triumph. As you steadfastly hold on to your long-term vision, it becomes equally important to celebrate progress, not just results. This is a profound shift in mindset that can significantly enhance your motivation and resilience, especially when you are recovering from a setback. In our achievement-oriented world, we are often conditioned to only celebrate the final outcome, the signed contract, the completed project, the massive financial success. While these results are certainly worth acknowledging, waiting only for them can be demotivating, particularly when the path is long and full of challenges. When you're rebuilding after a failure, the ultimate results might be a distant prospect. If you only focus on that distant goal, you risk becoming discouraged by the seemingly slow pace of progress. However, by celebrating progress, the incremental steps, the small wins, the lessons learned, the improvements made, you create a continuous stream of positive reinforcement. Progress could be completing a difficult task, even if it's just one small part of a larger whole. It could be learning a new skill that brings you closer to your goal. It could be staying consistent with your daily discipline for a week. It could be making a meaningful connection with someone who supports your journey. Each of these is a form of progress, a forward movement, even if the ultimate outcome isn't yet visible. Celebrating these moments doesn't mean throwing a huge party for every tiny achievement. It could be a simple internal acknowledgement, a moment of quiet pride, or sharing the small victory with a trusted friend or mentor. The act of celebrating reinforces the idea that your efforts are valuable, that you are moving in the right direction, and that your hard work is yielding fruit, even if it's not the final harvest yet. This practice builds positive momentum. It keeps your spirits high and prevents burnout. It reminds you that the journey itself is meaningful, not just the destination. It helps you appreciate the process of growth and development, which is ultimately what defines a successful life, regardless of external outcome. If you only celebrate results, you risk falling into a trap where you're constantly chasing external validation, and you might overlook the profound internal transformations happening along the way. By celebrating progress, you cultivate an inner game of self-appreciation and recognition. You become your own most important cheerleader, acknowledging your efforts and reinforcing your commitment. This sustained positive feedback is critical for maintaining the energy and determination. L'art required to overcome significant obstacles and ultimately achieve your long-term vision. So take a moment, look back at how far you've come, acknowledge the hard work you've put in, and celebrate every single step forward. It's these consistent celebrations of progress that fuel your sustained journey towards greatness. Finally, and perhaps most, the ultimate goal in all of this is to transform every failure into a stepping stone for success. This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's a fundamental mindset that distinguishes those who rise from those who are defeated. A stepping stone isn't an obstacle that stops you. It's something you stand on to reach higher ground, to gain a better vantage point, to make forward movement. When you encounter a setback, instead of viewing it as a wall, train yourself to see it as a platform. Ask yourself, how can this experience, this unexpected turn, actually serve me? What insight, skill, or connection has this challenge provided that I wouldn't have acquired otherwise? This means actively extracting every possible lesson, every piece of wisdom from the experience. A business failure might teach you about market timing, about the importance of cash flow, or about the critical need for a strong team. These aren't just bitter pills to swallow. They are invaluable pieces of education that you wouldn't have gained in a classroom. They become the building blocks for your next, more successful venture. A personal disappointment might teach you about your own resilience, about the importance of clear communication in relationships, or about setting health. These insights elevate your emotional intelligence and strengthen your character. To truly transform failure into a stepping stone, you must be willing to iterate, to adapt, and to continuously improve. You take what didn't work, understand why, and then use that knowledge to refine your approach. It's like a sculptor who, after making a mistake on a piece, doesn't discard the clay entirely. Instead, they reshape it, incorporating the lesson learned into a new, more refined form. The previous mistake isn't a dead end, it's part of the creative process that leads to the masterpiece. This perspective imbues every challenge with meaning. It ensures that no effort is ever truly wasted, because even in apparent failure, there is always a valuable takeaway, a lesson to be learned, a new direction to be explored. It fosters an unshakable optimism rooted not in denial, but in the profound understanding that growth and success are often forged in the fires of adversity. You become someone who actively seeks out challenges, not because you enjoy difficulty, but because you understand that they contain the very raw material for your future triumphs. By consistently applying this mindset, you create a life where setbacks are not feared, but understood as integral parts of your journey toward mastery. Every time you stumble, you don't just get back up, you get back up smarter, stronger, and with a clearer vision of how to achieve your goals. This is the ultimate lesson of overcoming failure. To view it not as an adversary, but as a powerful, albeit sometimes uncomfortable, ally in your quest for a richer, more meaningful, and ultimately more successful life. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it propel you to heights you never thought possible. And that, my friends, is how you truly overcome failure. You accept it, you learn from it, you don't let it define you, and you use every single experience, good or bad, to propel you forward. This journey is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Thank you. Hello again, everyone. We've covered a great deal about navigating the difficult terrain of setbacks and failures, turning them from stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Now, let's talk about a powerful practice that can fundamentally shift your perspective and set a positive tone for your entire day, especially when you are working through challenges. Starting your morning with gratitude. This isn't just a feel-good exercise. It's a deliberate act of mental training, a powerful discipline that can reframe your outlook even before you engage with the day's tasks. Imagine waking up and the first thoughts that enter your mind are worries, anxieties, or a replay of past disappointments. That sets a negative tone, creating a mental fog that can persist for hours, impacting your productivity, your interactions, and your overall sense of well-being. But what if you could intentionally choose a different beginning? Starting your morning with gratitude means that before you check your phone, before you dive into emails, before you even get out of bed, you take a few moments, just a few moments, to consciously identify things you are thankful for. These don't have to be grand, life-altering events. In fact, it's often more powerful to focus on the simple, everyday blessings that we often take for granted. It could be the warmth of your bed, the comfort of your home, the fact that you woke up with breath in your lungs and a new day stretched out before you. It could be the sound of birds outside your window, the taste of your morning coffee, the good health of a loved one, or simply the opportunity to learn and grow. The specific items aren't as important as the act of consciously seeking them out. When you deliberately focus on gratitude, you are essentially telling your brain, look for the good. You are training it to recognize abundance instead of scarcity, possibilities instead of problems. You're like, this mental shift creates a positive filter through which you then perceive the rest of your day. Challenges don't disappear, but your capacity to face them with a more optimistic and resilient spirit significantly increases. This practice also puts your setbacks into perspective. When you remind yourself of all that you do have, all that is going well, the weight of a particular failure can feel a little lighter. It prevents you from allowing one negative experience to overshadow the entirety of your life. You realize that while one area might be struggling, many other areas are thriving or at least stable. Make this a non-negotiable part of your morning routine. It could be as simple as mentally listing 3 things or writing them down in a gratitude journal. The consistency of this practice is what builds its power over time. Now, it cultivates a grateful heart, which is a powerful asset in navigating life's inevitable ups and downs. A grateful person is a more resilient person, a more optimistic person, and ultimately a more effective person. They approach problems not with dread, but with a quiet confidence, knowing that they have a strong foundation of blessings to draw upon. This morning ritual is a small investment of time that yields immense returns in terms of mental clarity, emotional strength, and a sustained positive outlook, empowering you to tackle whatever the day brings with renewed vigor and an open heart. It's a foundational habit for anyone committed to living a rich and fulfilling life, transforming not just your mornings, but your entire way of being. Absolutely, let's keep going. We've talked about the immense power of starting your morning with gratitude and how it lays a foundation for a more resilient mindset. Now, building on that, let's consider another profound principle. Understanding that the only true failure is the failure to learn. This concept is incredibly liberating and shifts your entire relationship with setbacks. Many people view a negative outcome as a definitive statement about their abilities or their worth. They see it as an endpoint, a brick wall that blocks their path. But what if we redefined failure? What if we understood that the event itself is not the failure, but rather our response to it? If you encounter a situation that doesn't go as planned and you walk away without gaining any new insight, without adjusting your approach, without growing in some way, that is the missed opportunity. That is the true failure. The missed learning is the real loss. Think about a scientist in a laboratory. Again, an experiment might not produce the desired results, But the scientist doesn't call the entire endeavor a failure and give up on science. Instead, they meticulously document what happened, analyze the data, and understand why the expected outcome didn't occur. Every unexpected result is a piece of information, a clue that helps them refine their hypothesis or adjust their methodology for the next experiment. Right. Their goal is not just a successful outcome, but also a deeper understanding of the processes involved. We must adopt this scientific mindset in our own lives. When a business venture doesn't pan out, or a personal relationship encounters difficulties, or a goal remains unmet, the critical question isn't, did I succeed or fail? But what did I learn from this experience? Did you learn about market dynamics, about human psychology, about your own strengths and weaknesses, about the importance of better planning or communication? Every single experience, even the most painful ones, carries valuable lessons within them if we are willing to look for them. The moment you extract that lesson, the moment you gain a new piece of understanding, the moment you decide to adjust your future actions based on what happened, that failure ceases to be a failure in the traditional sense. It transforms into an educational experience, a rigorous training session that makes you smarter, more capable, and better equipped for your next attempt. It becomes an investment in your future success. This perspective takes away the sting of shame that often accompanies setbacks. If the goal is always to learn, then every experience contributes to your growth, regardless of its immediate outcome. You become a perpetual student of life, constantly accumulating wisdom and refining your approach. The person who embraces this principle becomes virtually unfailable in the true sense, because every apparent stumble only serves to make them more knowledgeable and more effective for the next challenge. This profound understanding liberates you from the fear of making mistakes, allowing you to take calculated risks and explore new territories with a spirit of curiosity, knowing that every outcome, positive or negative, contributes to your ongoing development and eventual triumph. It's a philosophy that transforms obstacles into opportunities for profound personal and professional evolution. Now, alongside the vital understanding that the only true failure is the failure to learn, we must also consider the practice of visualizing success consistently. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's a powerful mental rehearsal that prepares your mind for the reality of achievement. Even when you're currently facing setbacks, many people, after a disappointment, tend to dwell on the negative outcome, replaying it in their minds, reinforcing the feeling of loss. This can create a downward spiral, making it harder to envision a positive future. Vigicide counters this by actively engaging your imagination in constructing a vivid, detailed picture of your desired success. Think of an architect who designs a magnificent building. They don't just sketch a rough idea. They create detailed blueprints, renderings, and even 3D models. They see the building in their mind's eye long before the first brick is laid. Similarly, you need to become the architect of your own successful future. Take time each day, perhaps during your morning routine after practicing gratitude, to close your eyes and vividly imagine yourself achieving your goals. What does that success look like? What does it feel like? Engage all your senses. If it's a business goal, imagine the joy of seeing your product helping customers, hearing their positive feedback, feeling the satisfaction of a project completed. If it's a personal achievement, visualize yourself strong, healthy, achieving that physical feat, or enjoying that fulfilling relationship. See the details, the environment you're in, the people around you, the specific actions you are taking. The more real and visceral you make it, the more effective it becomes. This consistent visualization, firstly, it keeps your long-term vision alive and vibrant, preventing it from fading under the weight of current challenges. It constantly reminds you why you are putting in the effort. Secondly, it helps to program your subconscious mind for success. Your brain, in many ways, doesn't fully distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. By repeatedly seeing yourself succeed, you build neural pathways that make those successful actions feel more familiar and achievable. Thirdly, it helps to reduce anxiety and build confidence. When you've mentally rehearsed success countless times, the actual pursuit of it feels less daunting. You've already navigated many of the potential obstacles in your mind, and you've already felt the positive emotions of achievement. This mental preparation makes you more resilient when real-world difficulties arise. It trains your mind to focus on solutions and possibilities rather than dwelling on problems. Regiazite is not a substitute for hard work and discipline, but it is a powerful complement. It's the mental blueprint that guides your physical actions. By consistently envisioning yourself succeeding, you reinforce your self-belief, sharpen your focus, and maintain an optimistic outlook even when the path ahead is challenging. This practice empowers you to manifest your desires by first creating them within your own mind, paving the way for their realization in the real world. It transforms an abstract wish into a concrete, achievable reality, strengthening your resolve with every vivid mental image. Continuing with our exploration of how to truly overcome setbacks, let's now consider the importance of consciously practicing self-compassion. This is a concept often misunderstood, sometimes confused with self-pity or making excuses, but it is, in fact, a crucial element for resilience and lasting success. After a failure, it's very easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism. We might replay our mistakes, harshly judge our actions, and engage in negative self-talk that undermines our confidence and our ability to move forward. Self-compassion is the antidote to this destructive pattern. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and support that you would offer to a dear friend who is going through a difficult time. Imagine if your friend confided in you about a major setback. Would you berate them, tell them they're a failure, or list all their shortcomings? Of course not. You would offer empathy, reassurance, and encouragement. You would remind them of their strengths and their capacity to overcome challenges. Self-compassion simply means extending that same grace and understanding to yourself. It involves three core components. First, self-kindness versus self-judgment. Instead of being harshly critical, you offer yourself warmth and understanding. You acknowledge that difficulties are part of the human experience and that it's okay to struggle. Second, common humanity. When you face a setback, it's easy to feel like you're the only one who struggles, that everyone else has it figured out. Self-compassion reminds you that suffering and imperfection are universal, connecting you to others rather than making you feel alone. Everyone experiences failure. It's part of being human. Third, mindfulness versus over-identification. This means observing your painful thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them. You acknowledge the pain. I'm feeling really disappointed right now, without letting it define your entire identity. I am a total failure. Practicing self-compassion after a setback allows you to process the difficult emotions without getting stuck in them. It creates a safe inner space for you to learn from your mistakes without the added burden of shame and self-recrimination. When you are kind to yourself, you are more likely to objectively analyze what went wrong rather than shutting on defense. You become more open to learning and adapting. This isn't about avoiding responsibility. It's about taking responsibility from a place of strength, not self-flagellation. When you are compassionate with yourself, you preserve your energy, rebuild your emotional reserves, and foster an internal environment that is conducive to healing and growth. It's a powerful act of self-care that strengthens your inner fortitude and enables you to face future challenges with greater resilience and a more balanced perspective. Without self-compassion, repeated failures can lead to burnout and a complete erosion of self-belief. With it, every difficulty becomes an opportunity to deepen your understanding of yourself and not cultivate an unshakable inner kindness that sustains you through life's inevitable storms. To build upon the foundation of self-compassion, we must also embrace the powerful concept of focusing on effort, not just outcomes. This is a critical mental shift, especially when navigating the aftermath of failure. In a world that often celebrates only the visible results, the grand achievements, the public successes, it's easy to fall into the trap of tying your self-worth and motivation solely to those external outcomes. However, when you're facing a setback, the desired outcome might be distant, or perhaps even uncertain. If your focus remains rigidly on distant outcome, discouragement can quickly set in. By consciously shifting your focus to the effort you are expending, you reclaim a significant degree of control and create a more sustainable source of motivation. Effort is something you can directly influence every single day. You can choose to put in the time, to apply yourself diligently, to show up consistently, to learn from your mistakes, and to refine your approach. The outcome, while influenced by your effort, is also subject to numerous external factors that are often beyond your immediate control: market conditions, the actions of others, unforeseen circumstances. When you celebrate your consistent effort, you create a powerful internal reward system that isn't dependent on external validation. You acknowledge your dedication, your persistence, your willingness to push forward, even when things are tough. This builds an intrinsic motivation, a deep-seated satisfaction in the process itself. It means you can feel proud of yourself for showing up and doing the work, regardless of whether the immediate results are exactly what you hoped for. Imagine an artist who spends countless hours perfecting their craft. While they hope their finished piece will be acclaimed, their true satisfaction often comes from the dedication to the process. The hours spent practicing, experimenting, and refining their technique. Similarly, in your own life, when you are recovering from a failure, every moment of disciplined effort, every difficult conversation, every revised plan, every small step forward is a victory in itself. This focus on effort is particularly empowering because it provides a constant source of positive reinforcement. Even if a project doesn't pan out as expected, you can still look back and say, "I put in my best effort. I learned, I adapted, I persisted." This acknowledgement protects your self-esteem and fuels your determination to try again, perhaps with a different approach. It teaches you resilience not as an abstract concept, but as a tangible experience of consistently showing up and giving your best. Moreover, consistent effort is what ultimately leads to positive outcomes over time. While results aren't guaranteed in the short term, unwavering effort significantly increases the probability of long-term success. By anchoring your motivation and self-worth to your effort, you cultivate a powerful inner strength that is impervious to temporary setbacks. ensuring that you remain engaged, committed, and continuously progressing on your journey, regardless of how the external world responds. This mindset is a cornerstone for sustained growth and ultimate achievement. To truly cement your path forward after setbacks, it is essential to build a robust support system. While we've touched on surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, this goes a step further into actively cultivating relationships that provide both emotional and practical assistance. No one achieves greatness in isolation, and trying to recover from a significant failure alone can be an unnecessarily heavy burden. A strong support system acts as a safety net, a sounding board, and a source of diverse perspectives. Think of it as building a well-rounded team, not just a group of cheerleaders. This team might include mentors who have navigated similar challenges and can offer wisdom and guidance from experience. It could involve peers who are on a similar journey, providing a sense of camaraderie, shared understanding, and mutual accountability. It absolutely includes trusted friends and family who offer unconditional emotional support, a listening ear, and a reminder of your inherent worth, separate from any professional outcome. The benefit of a support system is multifaceted. Emotionally, these individuals can help you process your feelings of disappointment, frustration, or sadness without judgment. They can provide a safe space to vent, to feel vulnerable, and to receive empathy. This emotional release is crucial for preventing negative emotions from festering and becoming paralyzing. They can also offer perspective, reminding you of your strengths when you're doubting yourself and helping you see the bigger picture beyond the immediate setback. Practically, a support system can offer concrete assistance. Mentors can provide strategic advice, helping you identify new opportunities or avoid pitfalls. Peers might share resources, insights, or even collaborate on new ventures. Friends and family can offer practical help, whether it's simply a home-cooked meal, help with childcare, or just a distraction that allows you to recharge. Building this system it means actively nurturing these relationships, being present for others, and reciprocating the support you receive. It involves being open about your struggles, rather than trying to project an image of unwavering strength. Vulnerability, when shared with trusted individuals, can actually deepen connections and strengthen your resolve. The presence of a strong support system provides a sense of belonging and reassurance. It reminds you that you are not alone in your struggles, and that there are people who genuinely care about your well-being and success. This external belief in you can be incredibly powerful when your own internal belief might be wavering. It acts as a powerful buffer against the isolating effects of failure and significantly enhances your capacity to recover, adapt, and ultimately thrive. Investing in these relationships is not just about getting help. It's about building a richer, more connected, and more resilient life, ensuring that you always have a network of strength to draw upon, no matter what challenges you encounter. Building on that idea of a robust support system, let's now delve into the practice of continuous learning and skill development. This is not merely an option. It's an imperative for anyone serious about overcoming failure and achieving sustained success. The world is in a constant state of flux. Industries evolve, technologies emerge, and the demands of our professional and personal lives change rapidly. What worked yesterday might not work today, and what is effective today might be obsolete tomorrow. Failure often highlights skill gaps or areas where our knowledge is insufficient. Recognizing this and committing to ongoing learning is a powerful way to turn setbacks into catalysts for growth. Think of it like an ever-evolving software program. To remain effective and competitive, it needs regular updates, patches, and new features. You as an individual are the same. After a setback, a critical part of your reflection should be identifying what knowledge or skills would have made a difference. Was it a lack of understanding of a particular market segment? Did you need stronger leadership skills to guide your team through a difficult phase? Was there a technical skill that you simply didn't possess? Once these gaps are identified, the commitment to continuous learning springs into action. This could involve reading books, taking online courses, attending workshops, seeking out new mentors, or even simply observing and dissecting the approaches of successful individuals in your field. The key is to be proactive and intentional about acquiring new knowledge and refining existing abilities. This commitment to learning serves several crucial purposes. Firstly, it directly addresses the root causes of past failures, equipping you with the tools and understanding to approach similar challenges more effectively in the future. You become more competent and capable. Secondly, it builds confidence. As you acquire new skills and deepen your knowledge, your belief in your own ability to tackle complex problems grows stronger. This renewed confidence is vital for overcoming the psychological blow of a past failure. Thirdly, continuous learning keeps you adaptable and relevant. In a rapidly changing world, those who are willing to learn and unlearn are the ones who will thrive. They are not beholden to outdated methods or limited by a fixed mindset. They see change not as a threat, but as an opportunity for expansion. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, this ongoing development fosters a growth mindset. Instead of viewing your abilities as fixed, you see them as malleable and capable of endless improvement. This perspective transforms every challenge, every piece of feedback, and every new piece of information into an opportunity for personal and professional evolution. It ensures that you are constantly moving forward, not just recovering from setbacks, but actively growing beyond them, ensuring that your future will always be richer and more capable than your past. This dedication to lifelong learning is the ultimate competitive advantage and a true hallmark of an unstoppable spirit. To complement the essential practice of continuous learning, we must also focus on cultivating mental resilience through deliberate practice. Mental resilience isn't something you're simply born with. It's a skill, much like playing a musical instrument or mastering a sport, that can be developed and strengthened over time through conscious effort. When you're facing or recovering from failure, your mental fortitude is severely tested. The ability to bounce back, to stay calm under pressure, and to maintain a positive outlook despite adversity is what separates those who succumb to setbacks from those who transcend them. Deliberate practice for mental resilience involves several key components. Firstly, it's about mindfulness and emotional regulation. We touched on controlling your emotions earlier, but this is a deeper dive. It means actively observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment, recognizing them as temporary states rather than absolute truths. Techniques like meditation or simple deep breathing exercises can train your mind to stay present, and prevent you from getting swept away by negative thought spirals. When a difficult emotion arises, instead of reacting impulsively, you'll learn to pause, acknowledge it, and then consciously choose your response. Secondly, it involves cognitive reframing. This is the conscious effort to change your interpretation of events. Instead of seeing a problem as a catastrophe, you reframe it as a challenge, an opportunity for growth, or a puzzle to be solved. This ties back to seeing opportunity in setbacks. It's about challenging negative assumptions and actively seeking out alternative, more empowering perspectives. For example, instead of thinking, I messed up everything, you might reframe it as, this particular approach didn't work, and now I have valuable data to inform my next attempt. Thirdly, exposure control challenge. Just as you lift weights to build physical strength, you can intentionally expose yourself to small, manageable discomforts or challenges to build mental toughness. This could be taking on a slightly uncomfortable task, pushing yourself gently outside your comfort zone, or deliberately choosing a harder path for a small project. Successfully navigating these minor difficulties builds your confidence in your ability to handle greater pressure when it inevitably arises. Fourthly, building a robust self-narrative. This means consciously crafting the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. After a failure, the negative narrative can be tempting. Deliberately remind yourself of your strengths, your past successes, and your capacity for learning and growth. Reinforce the idea that setbacks are part of your journey, not the definition of your identity. By consistently engaging in these practices, you are effectively training your brain to become more robust, more flexible, and more capable of handling stress and adversity. You are building an internal reservoir of strength that will serve you, not just in overcoming past failures, but in proactively facing all future challenges. Mental resilience is not about avoiding pain. It's about having the tools and the fortitude to navigate through it, emerging stronger and more capable on the other side. This unwavering inner strength is a cornerstone of a truly exceptional and fulfilling life. Moving from mental resilience, let's now consider the crucial practice of embracing patience with yourself during the process of recovery and rebuilding. This might seem similar to developing patience in general, but it has a specific internal focus that is incredibly important after a setback. When you've experienced a failure, there's often an internal pressure, a strong desire to get back on track immediately, to erase the past, or to prove yourself quickly. While ambition is good, this internal impatience can actually hinder your progress and lead to frustration and burnout. Embracing patience with yourself means acknowledging that healing, learning, and rebuilding take time. It means understanding that growth is not linear. There will be good days and bad days, moments of clarity and moments of doubt. It means being kind to your own process and recognizing that you are a human being, not a machine that can simply be reprogrammed instantly. Think of a physical injury. If you break a bone, you don't expect it to heal overnight. You follow the doctor's orders, you rest, you do your physical therapy, and you understand that the body needs time to repair itself. Rushing the process, trying to run before the bone is fully healed, would only lead to further injury. Similarly, after a professional or personal setback, your emotional and psychological self needs time to heal. This patience involves several aspects. Firstly, allowing yourself to feel. Don't try to suppress the emotions of disappointment or frustration too quickly. Acknowledge them, process them, and then gently guide yourself back to a constructive mindset. Rushing past these feelings can lead to them resurfacing later in unhelpful ways. Secondly, realistic expectations for progress. Understand that rebuilding confidence and developing new strategies takes consistent, incremental effort. Don't expect to be back at Baivanji overnight. Celebrate the small wins as we discussed and acknowledge that progress, no matter how tiny, is still progress. Thirdly, avoiding It's easy to look at someone else's seemingly effortless success and feel like you're falling behind. Everyone's journey is unique. Your path, especially after a setback, might be different, but it's still your path. Focus on your own growth and trajectory. Finally, treating yourself with the same understanding you'd offer a friend. If a friend was struggling to recover, you wouldn't tell them to just snap out of it. So you'd offer gentle encouragement and understanding. Extend that same compassion to yourself. Embracing patience with yourself reduces self-imposed pressure, which can be just as damaging as external pressure. It allows you to learn effectively, heal fully, and implement new strategies thoughtfully rather than impulsively. It fosters a sense of inner peace and self-acceptance, which are crucial for long-term well-being and sustained success. This internal kindness ensures that you don't sabotage your own recovery by demanding too much, too soon, allowing you to move forward with a steady, compassionate pace that genuinely supports your growth and ultimate triumph. Building on the internal grace of self-patience, let's now emphasize the vital concept of regularly reviewing your goals and adjusting them as needed. This is not about abandoning your long-term vision, which remains your North Star, but rather about being flexible and intelligent with the specific targets and pathways you're using to reach it. After a setback, it's highly probable that your initial assumptions, timelines, or even some of your smaller objectives might no longer be entirely realistic or appropriate. A rigid adherence to an outdated plan, especially one that has already led to difficulties, can be as detrimental as having no plan at all. Think of a navigator on a long voyage. They have a destination in mind, but they constantly check their charts, monitor the weather, and adjust their course based on changing conditions. They don't stubbornly sail into a storm just because that was their original heading. Similarly, you need to be an active navigator of your own life and career. Regularly reviewing your goals means setting aside dedicated time, perhaps weekly or monthly, to objectively assess your progress, the effectiveness of your current strategies, and the external environment. Ask yourself, are these goals still aligned with my overall long-term vision? Are they still realistic given what I've learned from my recent experiences? Have new opportunities or challenges emerged that require a shift in focus? Are there specific milestones that need to be reevaluated or reprioritized? The key here is adjustment, not abandonment. If a goal proved unattainable in a particular time frame, perhaps the time frame needs to be extended, or the scope of the goal needs to be broken down into smaller, more manageable stages. If the specific strategy failed, then it needs to be revised or replaced with a new one based on your newfound knowledge. This flexibility is a sign of intelligence and adaptability, not weakness. Being willing to adjust your goals also involves letting go of perfectionism and acknowledging that initial plans are rarely perfect. Life throws curveballs, and the ability to pivot and adapt your plan is a powerful skill. This practice reduces the pressure to be flawless and instead emphasizes continuous improvement and responsiveness. Moreover, regularly reviewing and adjusting your goals keeps you engaged and proactive. It prevents you from passively drifting or blindly following a path that is no longer serving you. It empowers you to take ownership of your journey, making informed decisions that reflect your evolving understanding and the dynamic nature of the world. This iterative process of setting, pursuing, reviewing, and adjusting goals is a cornerstone of sustained achievement. It ensures that your efforts are always directed in the most effective way possible, guiding you steadily towards your ultimate vision, even when the initial map needed significant revisions. It's about being agile, intelligent, and always learning how to better navigate the complexities of your path. As we consistently review and adjust our goals, another critical element to embrace is the power of consistent self-reflection through journaling. While we've discussed reflection broadly, Journaling provides a structured and deeply personal method for processing experiences, gaining insights, and tracking your growth. After a setback, your mind can be a chaotic place, filled with swirling thoughts, emotions, and questions. Putting these down on paper or typing them out brings a sense of order and clarity that simply thinking about them often cannot achieve. Journaling is a private space where you can be completely honest with yourself without judgment. There's no audience, no need to perform, just you and your thoughts. This uninhibited self-expression is incredibly therapeutic and enlightening. When you commit your thoughts to paper, several powerful things happen. Firstly, it helps you to process emotions. Writing about your feelings of disappointment, frustration, or anger allows you to externalize them, reducing their intensity. It's like letting steam out of a pressure cooker. This emotional release is crucial for moving past the initial shock of a setback and into a more constructive mindset. Secondly, it facilitates deeper learning and problem solving. By writing about what went wrong, you can often uncover insights that might remain hidden in your head. The act of forming sentences and paragraphs forces a certain level of logical organization. You can connect cause and effect, identify patterns, and brainstorm potential solutions in a way that unstructured thought rarely achieves. You can ask yourself those critical what went wrong questions and methodically write out the answers, exploring different angles. Thirdly, it helps you to track progress and identify patterns. Over time, your journal becomes a rich record of your journey. You can look back at previous entries and see how far you've come, how you've overcome similar challenges, and what strategies have proven effective for you. This historical perspective is a powerful tool for rebuilding confidence and recognizing your own resilience. You might also notice recurring patterns in your behavior or decision-making that you can then consciously work to change. Fourthly, it reinforces gratitude and positive perspectives. By dedicating a portion of your journaling to gratitude, as we discussed earlier, you integrate that powerful practice into your daily reflection, solidifying its impact. You can also actively write about the opportunities you've identified in a setback, further training your mind to look for the good. Make journaling a consistent habit, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes each day. It doesn't have to be perfect prose, it just needs to be honest and consistent. This sustained practice of self-reflection through journaling transforms every experience, especially the difficult ones, into a profound opportunity for self-awareness, personal growth, and ultimately, a clearer, more intentional path forward. It is a powerful tool for understanding your inner landscape and skillfully navigating the external world. Continuing on our journey, after harnessing the power of self-reflection through journaling, a crucial step to not only overcome failure, but to prevent future ones is to evaluate your risk tolerance and adjust it thoughtfully. Failure often comes with an emotional and sometimes financial cost, and this can naturally make us more risk-averse. While a healthy caution is wise, becoming overly risk-averse can also lead to stagnation, preventing you from seizing new opportunities or attempting innovative ventures. The goal isn't to eliminate risk entirely, which is impossible in any meaningful endeavor, but to understand your comfort level and strategically manage it. After a setback, take time to objectively assess what kind of risks you took. Were they well-calculated risks based on good information and careful planning? Or were they impulsive, ill-informed gambles? This distinction is vital. A well-calculated risk that doesn't pay off is a learning experience. An impulsive gamble, however, might indicate a need for more diligent research or a more disciplined decision-making process. Then consider your current emotional state regarding risk. Are you feeling overly cautious, perhaps to the point where you're missing clear opportunities? Or have you learned the wrong lesson and are now ready to jump into another high-risk situation without proper diligence? Understanding your current disposition allows you to make conscious adjustments. Adjusting your risk tolerance doesn't mean becoming fearless overnight. It means becoming fear-aware and making deliberate choices. This might involve starting small with new ventures. Instead of launching a massive project, test the waters with a smaller, lower-stakes pilot program or a minimal viable product. This allows you to gather data and learn without committing significant resources. Diversifying your efforts. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If one area is risky, balance it with more stable, predictable activities. Improving your due diligence, dedicate more time to research, gather more information, and seek expert advice before making significant decisions. Reduce the element of the unknown as much as possible. Understanding potential downsides. Clearly articulate the worst-case scenario. If you can live with that outcome, it makes the risk more manageable. This helps to reduce anxiety. Developing contingency plans for every major decision. Consider what you would do if things don't go as planned. Having a backup plan reduces the perceived risk and builds confidence. The aim is to develop a strategic approach to risk rather than an emotional one. You want to be adventurous enough to seize opportunities for growth, but wise enough to protect your resources and learn from past mistakes. Your risk tolerance is not fixed, it's dynamic. It can and should evolve as you gain experience, acquire new skills, and build your resilience. By thoughtfully evaluating and adjusting your risk tolerance, you empower yourself to re-engage with the world of possibilities, making calculated moves that align with your current capabilities and your long-term vision, ensuring that you take the right kinds of risks at the right times for sustained progress and ultimate success. This thoughtful navigation of risk is a cornerstone of intelligent growth. In concert with a thoughtful approach to risk, another powerful strategy for not only overcoming past failures, but also ensuring robust future progress is to proactively seek and incorporate feedback. Many people, especially after a setback, tend to shy away from feedback. They might fear more criticism or feel defensive, wanting to avoid further pain. However, this is precisely when feedback becomes an invaluable gift. It's an external perspective, a mirror held up to your actions and strategies, revealing blind spots you might not be able to see yourself. Indeed, let's pick up right there on the critical importance of proactively seeking and incorporating feedback. As I was saying, after facing a setback, our natural inclination might be to retreat to avoid any further scrutiny or potential criticism. But this is where true growth lies, in actively soliciting those external perspectives that can illuminate what we missed or what needs to change. Imagine a painter who has just completed a canvas. They might have worked on it for weeks, pouring their heart and soul into every brush stroke. Yet, to truly understand its impact and identify areas for improvement, a skilled artist will often step back and invite others to view it, asking for honest reactions. They aren't seeking mere praise. They are seeking insights into how the piece communicates, what resonates, and what might be unclear or ineffective. This external perspective is crucial because our own involvement can make us blind to obvious flaws or opportunities for enhancement. Similarly, when you're trying to overcome a failure or simply to improve your performance, actively seeking feedback means inviting trusted individuals to offer their observations on your actions, your strategies, or your approach. This could come from mentors, colleagues, clients, or even friends and family, depending on the nature of the setback. The key is to choose people whose opinions you value and who you believe will offer constructive, honest input rather than just affirmation or harsh judgment. The process of seeking feedback should be intentional and structured. Don't just ask, "What do you think?" Be specific. Ask questions like, "Regarding that project, what aspects do you think I handled well, and where could I have improved? If you were in my shoes, what would you have done differently in this situation? What assumptions did I make that might have been incorrect? Is there anything I said or did that might have been misinterpreted?" The most important part of receiving feedback is your posture. Approach it with an open mind and a genuine desire to learn. Resist the urge to immediately defend your actions or make excuses. Your goal is to listen, to understand the other person's perspective, even if it feels uncomfortable. Thank them for their honesty, regardless of whether you fully agree with everything they say. Later, in your own time, reflect on the feedback. Distill what is useful, discard what isn't relevant, and look for patterns or recurring themes. Incorporating feedback doesn't mean you have to implement every suggestion blindly. It means thoughtfully considering the input and using it to refine your strategies, modify your behavior, or deepen your understanding. This iterative process of seeking, receiving, reflecting, and incorporating feedback is a powerful accelerator for personal and professional development. It helps you to identify blind spots, correct course more quickly, and make more informed decisions in the future. By actively engaging with feedback, you transform external critique into an internal compass for improvement. You demonstrate a commitment to growth that is both humble and powerful. This practice not only helps you to recover more effectively from past failures, but also builds a proactive shield against future ones, ensuring that you are always learning, adapting, and continuously optimizing your path towards success. It's an ongoing dialogue with the world that keeps you sharp, responsive, and always moving forward with greater clarity. Building on the invaluable practice of incorporating feedback, let's turn our attention to the critical skill of mastering the art of effective problem solving. Failure often presents itself as a large, complex problem, and how you approach breaking down and resolving that problem will largely determine your ability to move forward. Many people, when faced with a significant issue, become overwhelmed. They see the mountain, not the individual steps to climb it. Mastering problem solving is about developing a systematic, logical approach that transforms daunting challenges into manageable tasks. Effective problem solving isn't about guesswork, it's about a disciplined process. Here's how it generally unfolds to find the problem. Clearly, this is often the most overlooked and yet most crucial step. What exactly is the problem? Avoid vague statements. Instead of "my business failed," define it as "my business failed because product X didn't attract enough customers in market Y, resulting in insufficient revenue to cover operating costs by Q seen." The clearer the definition, the easier it is to find a solution. Gather information. Once you've defined the problem, collect all relevant data. Who was involved? What were the circumstances? What metrics were impacted? What have you already tried? This is where your earlier reflection and feedback come into play. Look at the Hitchapple angle. Identify root causes. This goes beyond the symptoms. A lack of sales symptom might be caused by poor marketing route. Or a product that doesn't meet market needs another root cause. Or even a pricing strategy that's out of sync. Use techniques like the woo-wowers, asking why 5 times to dig deeper to get to the fundamental issues. Brainstorm potential solutions. Once you understand the root causes, generate a wide range of possible solutions. Don't censor yourself at this stage. No idea is too outlandish. Quantity over quality initially. The goal is to open up all avenues of possibility. Involve others in this brainstorming to get diverse perspectives. Evaluate solutions. Now, critically assess each potential solution. What are the pros and cons? What are the risks? What resources, time, money, skills would each solution require? Which solutions are most feasible, impactful, and aligned with your long-term vision? Develop an action plan. For the chosen solutions, create a detailed action plan. What specific steps need to be taken? Who is responsible for each step? What are the timelines? How will you measure success? Break down larger actions into smaller, manageable steps. Implement and monitor. Put your plan into action. Then critically monitor its effectiveness. Is it producing the desired results? Are adjustments needed? This is an iterative process. You might need to loop back to earlier steps if the initial solution isn't working as intended. Mastering this systematic approach to problem solving transforms failure from a paralyzing event into a solvable challenge. It empowers you to approach obstacles with confidence and a clear roadmap. It removes the emotional charge from the situation and replaces it with a logical, actionable framework. By consistently applying this art of problem solving, you not only recover from past difficulties, but also build an incredibly valuable skill set that will serve you throughout your entire life, allowing you to tackle any complexity with competence and a strategic mind. This is how you convert adversity into a blueprint for future success, building on the systematic approach of problem solving. Another powerful strategy for sustained growth and overcoming failure is to cultivate a strong bias for action. Many people, after experiencing a setback, can fall into the trap of overthinking, overanalyzing, or waiting for the perfect moment to act. They become paralyzed by fear of making another mistake, or they spend too much time planning without ever truly executing. While thoughtful planning is essential, as we've discussed, it must ultimately lead to action. A strong bias for action means that once a reasonable plan is in place, you move forward with decisive steps, even if the path isn't perfectly clear. Think of it like this: a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. They are built to sail, to navigate the open seas, to move towards a destination. Similarly, your ideas, plans, and intentions are only truly powerful when they are put into motion. A bias for action doesn't mean recklessness. It means understanding that at some point, further planning yields diminishing returns, and the best way to learn, adjust, and make progress is to actually do something. There's a principle that says, done is better than perfect. This is particularly true when recovering from failure. Taking action, even small imperfect actions, provides several critical benefits. Generates momentum. Action creates momentum. When you take a step, however small, you break the inertia of inaction. This momentum can be incredibly motivating and helps to rebuild confidence, especially after feeling stuck. Provides real-world data. Planning can only take you so far. Real learning happens when you put your ideas to the test in the real world. Action generates feedback and uncovers new opportunities that you couldn't have predicted from just thinking or planning. This real-world data is invaluable for refining your strategies, reduces overthinking and fear. Protracted contemplation can amplify fears and create a sense of paralysis. Taking action, even if it's a small experimental step, often demystifies the challenge and reduces anxiety. You discover that the monster under the bed isn't as scary as you imagined. Create opportunities. The act of doing often opens doors that weren't visible from a static position. A conversation might lead to an unexpected collaboration. A small project might reveal a new market niche. Action creates a ripple effect. To cultivate this bias, break down large tasks into the smallest possible actionable steps. Focus on taking just the next step. Don't wait for motivation to strike. Use discipline to initiate action, knowing that motivation often follows. Set deadlines for action, not just for planning. Learn to identify when you're simply procrastinating under the guise of research or preparation, and then make a conscious decision to move forward. This strong bias for action is a defining characteristic of individuals who consistently achieve their goals and effectively navigate setbacks. They understand that progress is made not by wishing or planning alone, but by a consistent commitment to taking decisive steps forward. It's the engine that drives all growth and ensures that your wisdom, your strategies, and your resilience are continually put to the test and honed in the crucible of real-world engagement. Act, learn, adjust, and act again. This is the rhythm of sustained success. As we cultivate that crucial bias for action, we must also couple it with the commitment to continually review and refine your decision-making process. Failure often exposes flaws, not just in the actions we took, but in how we arrived at those actions, the underlying decisions. Simply taking more action without improving the quality of your decisions can lead to repeating the same mistakes, just faster. Therefore, turning setbacks into stepping stones requires a rigorous examination of your decision-making habits. Think of a pilot who reviews every flight, even perfect ones, to see if any improvements could be made. They meticulously analyze the conditions, their choices, and the outcomes. Similarly, after a decision leads to an undesirable result, you need to conduct a post-mortem on your own decision-making process. This involves asking penetrating questions without self-blame, but with a deep desire for insight. What information did I use? Was it sufficient? Was it accurate? Was I missing any critical data points? Did I rely too heavily on assumptions rather than facts? What was my emotional state? Was I making this decision from a place of fear, desperation, overconfidence, or clear-headed analysis? It heavily influenced judgment. Let's continue this vital discussion on refining your decision-making process. As I was saying, after a decision leads to an undesirable result, a thorough post-mortem on how you arrived at that decision is indispensable for growth. We've covered asking what information you used and what your emotional state was. Let's delve into the next crucial question. Who did I consult? Did I seek diverse perspectives, or did I only talk to people who would agree with me? Did I consider opinions that challenged my own assumptions? Often failures are a result of operating in an echo chamber, where dissenting voices or alternative viewpoints are excluded. Seeking out individuals with different expertise, experiences, or even opposing views can significantly broaden your understanding of situation and highlight potential pitfalls you might have otherwise overlooked. What alternatives did I consider? Did I truly explore multiple options, or did I jump to the first seemingly good idea? Sometimes, under pressure, we grab the most obvious solution without thoroughly evaluating other viable paths. A robust decision-making process involves consciously generating a range of alternatives and systematically weighing their pros and cons. This creative phase is critical for innovation and for finding the most optimal way forward, especially when the initial path has proven ineffective. What are my underlying assumptions? Every decision is built on a set of assumptions about the future, about market conditions, about people's reactions, or about your own capabilities. After a failure, it's vital to identify these assumptions and test their validity. Were they accurate? Were they overly optimistic or pessimistic? Learning to recognize and rigorously test your assumptions is a powerful skill that reduces the likelihood of future missteps. What was my contingency plan? Did I have one? What would I do if this particular decision didn't work out? While it's important to commit to a course of action, a wise decision maker also considers potential obstacles and has a backup strategy. If you didn't have a contingency plan, that's a valuable lesson for your future decision-making process. By consistently asking these kinds of probing questions after a setback, you transform each negative outcome into a learning laboratory. You move beyond simply reacting to the results and instead focus on improving the process that led to those results. This refinement of your decision-making faculties makes you a far more strategic and effective individual. It's about building a mental framework that encourages critical thinking, self-awareness, and a commitment to continuous improvement in how you make choices. This isn't a one-time exercise. It's an ongoing discipline. With each new challenge and each new decision, you apply these lessons, making subtle adjustments and strengthening your internal processes. The cumulative effect of this intentional effort is a sharper mind, a more discerning judgment, and a significantly increased capacity to navigate complexity and achieve your objectives, turning every challenge into a masterclass in strategic living. This systematic review of your decision-making is a cornerstone of true personal and professional mastery, ensuring that your future choices are built on the wisdom of your past experiences. Finally, to bring all these principles together and truly hardwire them into your way of being, we must cultivate unwavering self-trust. This is the culmination of all the previous discussions. When you have faced setbacks, when you have doubted yourself, rebuilding this internal trust is paramount. Without it, even the best strategies, the most disciplined actions, and the clearest visions will struggle to take root. Unwavering self-trust means believing in your own capacity to learn, to adapt, to persevere, and to ultimately succeed regardless of external circumstances or past disappointments. Self-trust is built through consistent, honest action and reflection. It's not a gift, it's earned. Every time you accept failure as a lesson, every time you take responsibility without self-blame, every time you control your emotions, every time you learn from a mistake, every time you make a small win, every time you act with discipline, and every time you thoughtfully adjust your course, you are depositing another brick into the foundation of your self-trust. When you trust yourself, you become more resilient. Setbacks don't shatter you because you have an inner knowing that you possess the resources and capabilities to navigate through them. You have faith in your own judgment, even when others might doubt you. You are less swayed by external opinions because your internal compass is strong and true. This trust empowers you to take calculated risks, knowing that even if the outcome isn't perfect, you will learn from it and find a way forward. It gives you the courage to embrace new challenges, confident in your ability to adapt and grow. It allows you to stay consistent with your long-term vision, believing in your capacity to reach it, even when the journey is long and arduous. Cultivating unwavering self-trust involves honoring your commitments to yourself. When you say you'll do something, follow through. Each time you do, you reinforce your reliability to your own inner self. Learning from mistakes without dwelling on them. Acknowledge the error, extract the lesson, and then move forward confident that you won't repeat the same misstep. Celebrating your progress, no matter how small, recognize your own efforts and achievements. building a positive internal narrative, listening to your inner voice. While external feedback is important, learn to discern and trust your own intuition and wisdom, which become sharper with practicing self-compassion. Understand that you are human. You will make mistakes, and that's okay. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding. Unwavering self-trust is the ultimate personal power. It's the deep, quiet knowing that you are capable of handling whatever life throws your way. It frees you from the need for constant external validation and allows you to operate from a place of inner strength and conviction. This trust is not naive optimism. It is a profound confidence born of experience, learning, and persistent effort. It is the unshakable belief in your own journey, your own potential, and your own inherent capacity to transform every single challenge, every single setback into a profound opportunity for even greater success and a richer, more meaningful life. This internal certainty is your most valuable asset, ensuring that you will always find a way to rise, to adapt, and to ultimately achieve the extraordinary. Thank you.